So I've been chipping away at boat projects over the last few days, trying to knock things out one at a time. And right now we have to get to sort of a big project, bit of an ordeal, but necessary to start the season of cruising. I'm going to pull the anchor chain out and flip it end for end. So, you know, the end half of the anchor chain that's attached to the anchor gets used far more frequently than the entire length of anchor chain. So what happens is, like, the galvanized coating eventually wears off from like the sand and from coral and all that stuff, and the chain starts to rust. So what you want to do every couple of years is flip that chain over. Now, this chain was brand new, bought in Los Angeles before I left 4 years ago. So, and the chain it's 300 feet of 5/16 HT. Can't remember the name of the chain, but it's like the top quality anchor chain that you can get. And it's been great, but it is showing signs of normal rust and wear on that part that gets used the most. So what we'll do is we'll pull out all the anchor chain and lay it out on the deck, and then I'll cut the splice. There's like the rope road is spliced to the chain. I'll cut that free and then re-splice it to the rusted end, and then restow everything. So that's the project for right now. When I get to Malaysia in like August or September of this year, I plan on getting the whole chain like hot dipped and recoated and everything. So they put it in an acid bath to remove all the galvanized coating from what still remains and all the rust and all that stuff, and then 2 hot dips to re-galvanize the anchor chain. I'm also going to get my anchor hot dipped in Malaysia. So this has only got a, you know, and I'm sure it'd be perfectly fine to leave it, but I like to sort of like do as much preventative maintenance as possible. And now the rust is like surface rust. It's not like we're going to risk like the chain snapping, because there's tons of material, because it's only started showing surface rust in the last, like, I don't know, 8 months or so. So, and it's just literally just like nothing crazy. So I'll show you what that's all about, and we'll get to it. Okay, so I'm up here forward with my anchor and anchor chain. Now I'm very much in the school of thought. I'm very anti-swivel, anchor swivel. There's no reason for those things to exist. They present a very dangerous point of failure inside the swivel. So I'm definitely old school and go double shackle route. And there's a couple of different ways to set up the double shackle, but this is how I have it set up, and you'll see the mousing wire that prevents the shackles from vibrating loose. So that's how I have mine set up. It's time to get that mousing wire cut off and undone, and then start fishing out all of this chain. Now, one thing that's very important to remember is always tie off your anchor before you undo this. I've never lost it, but it could be an easy thing to overlook when you get excited about getting into the project, and then your anchor says goodbye. So at first I was starting to think that maybe I didn't need to switch it end for end, because it didn't look too bad on the first 25 feet. But now that I get to 50, it's pretty rusted. Probably it just sits in a pile wet in the anchor locker. Check it out. So I'll go ahead and pull it all out and get it switched. Okay, I got all the chain laid out. Man, that was intense, hard work. Some of the spots like in the middle, I guess where they sit in the anchor locker, have quite a bit of rust on them, so I'm glad I did this. But it's interesting, you can see this sort of gradient between the not very often used end of the chain and the end that's used regularly. I'll show it to you right now. So like that bit's pretty bad. So, but those pieces that are rusted, it's not like the chain is compromised. It's just like that layer of the where it's been galvanized and maybe like one layer of the chain material, but it's not thin or risky or anything. So now I've got it all laid out in sections of 25. I'm going to go through and mark it. I marked my chain in increments of 25 feet. I don't do it in meters, even though I'm in a place of meters, because with something as serious as like your ground tackle and getting out the right amount of scope, I don't want to have to like try to think and do math in my head while I'm trying to get all my chain out. I want to just be able to think in my native measurement system. So I do 25, 50, 75, 100, so on. Now, when I did this originally, I did big spray painted sections and all that. The spray paint lasts like 6 to 8 months in the tropics. It does not last long. And I know people will be like, you're putting zip ties, that's plastic in the ocean, blah, blah, blah. Which I get it, I agree, like plastic in the ocean is terrible, but I've lost 3 zip ties in 4 years. 2 of them were lost at the windlass on the deck, and I don't know where the other one is. So that's a very small amount of loss or risk in my experience of 4 years and 16,000 plus miles of dropping the anchor. So, I do have some fabric, ratchet strap fabric that I'm gonna tie off in like one of the 100-foot increment sections to try to give me another visual. So probably at 200 feet. But the rest of it, I'm just gonna mark with zip ties as I always do and go from there. Also, I'll show you how I connect the rope road section, which I have 200 feet of rope road, 3-strand, how I connect it to the chain. So now cut that off and take out the little sort of insert for the eyelet and cut down the length of the rope road a little bit and then re-splice it all together. Okay, so I just finished up marking all the line and splicing the rope road onto the old end. Just barely made it before the storm arrives. They said the wet season's over, but I'm not sure. I'll show you the splice and then I'll just walk you through the markings real quick. So here's my 3-strand splice. And then I did all my markings. So like this is something new doing this fabric, but I also have the zip ties on it. But this is like 100 foot is 1, and then 200 feet is 2. But the rest of them are all in increments that the way I do it. I do like 1 zip tie for 25 feet, 2 zip ties spread apart for 50 feet, 3 zip ties for 75 feet, and then start over again with every 100-foot increment. Again, 300 feet of chain, 200 feet of rope red. Now I gotta try to get the chain all back in before this storm comes. Okay, it's the next morning. I left out the chain that spilled off the dock yesterday. Laid it out on the deck last night to dry. It got a little bit of a rain shower, which is a nice freshwater rinse. And now it's time to restow the rest of the chain and go ahead and reattach it to the anchor. So the water tanks are full to overflowing, which is awesome, and we got 2 jerry jugs on the side deck, so we're good for water for a while. Still need to get some diesel fuel, but I'm not going to have them deliver it because they charge way too much. So I'll just arrange a local boat to run me over, and I'll get some diesel. I want to open up the tank and take a look inside, and the boat's sitting so long here in the tropics it might have diesel bugs, so I'll clean out the fuel tank and have a look at that before I put the new diesel in. So I'll probably be doing that in the next few days. I need to clean every inch of the boat, bow to stern. So It's a slow process, but I'll get it done. Continuing with the boat projects. The engine was having a really hard time starting towards the end of the cruising last year. So at the end of December, it was having a lot of hard starts. And then when I got back from leaving the boat to go back to the States, I had a really hard time getting it started. Had to use starter fluid. I bled the system. Really difficult. I posted on Instagram story about there being a hard start, and I was like really nervous and concerned about it. My buddy Bruce on sailing yacht Bob from New Zealand, he responded and said that I might have diesel bug, especially because I'm in the tropics and Indonesia has notoriously bad fuel. He's having a problem with the same thing from Mexico and now in French Polynesia. So he mentioned that it might be diesel bug, that would be creating it, making it hard to start. I hadn't even considered that, so I was stoked that he mentioned that. So I drained the tank the other day. The fuel looked fairly clean that I drained out. I just popped open the tank and check it out. Tons of sludge. So the important thing to know is I cleaned this tank so clean that you could eat out of it exactly 1 year ago. And I'll show you what that looks like now. So what you're looking at now is how dirty the tank was when I hadn't opened it between 2017 and 2024. So 7 years worth of diesel, and that's what it looked like. And now you look at this, and this is only, let's see, first time I put Indonesian fuel in here was October. So October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May. 7 months worth of Indonesian fuel, and it makes it look like this. So crazy. Huge difference. And that's even with me polishing the fuel and all that stuff. But again, we are in the tropics. The heat and everything, the humidity, the moisture, the bad fuel, it all adds up. So I'm gonna go ahead and get the bug cleaned out. I already have a fresh can of diesel that I got ashore. And then I'll go ahead and drain all the other fuel out of the system and the fuel filter. And then we'll start it up and see how she runs. Alright, I got the tank cleaned out. I'm gonna go see if my buddy Mike has some biocide on sailing vessel Picasso. I don't have any on the boat. It'd be nice to let some sit just low in the tank because there's bits of pitted corrosion. So that means there might be bug living in that. So if he doesn't have any, then I might see if there's some kind of like other thing like acetone or something I could use to kind of kill that stuff off. But I'll see if he has it first. And then it's just a matter of putting it back together and putting in clean fuel. Okay, so I got the tank all reinstalled, fuel filter changed, fuel filter primed. I got the engine bled, which took many tries to get it bled. Here we go.